Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the CineMatch podcast, the podcast where we usually take two different movies and compare them against each other in a series of different categories to see which one is ultimately the best. This week's a little different, but first, I don't think I've ever actually introduced myself. So my name's Cal. I think I always just go straight to introducing you, but my name's Cal. And joining me, as always, is my wonderful co-host, Mr. Nathan Hanna. Nathan, how are you?
I am riding high. I've just watched, like I just said to you, I've just watched the Ninja Turtles movie. I'm in a good mood. It's fantastic. And I'm ready to get some good wins in today.
Yeah, that's it. This is the first time we're actually against each other. Usually we're the adjudicators. This time we're competing against each other. So like I said in the intro, this week's episode is a little different. We're taking a break from the standard formula of the show, and we're trying something new called Category Carnage, a name that I wonderfully came up with myself. But this was a concept that you first suggested, just to take a little break from the standard. It might sound a little complicated, so we'll go through it now, just for anyone listening. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take, like we usually use categories to score two different movies, we're going to take that same sort of crux, and we've got a series of different categories, but instead of choosing two movies and rating them on those, we're going with an entire movie franchise. And the plan is we've got a series of categories which we'll go through in a second, and we're going to take different movies from that franchise to match up with the categories we've got. We've set a couple of ground rules where we can't use the same movie twice,
which is going to be difficult.
Yeah, very difficult. But we've also said we can't use the same movies, so it's going to be even more difficult, which is why we're lucky that we're going with a franchise that has got more than enough movies to pick from. Because I don't think there's any other franchise in the world where we'd be able to do this with 20 picks.
30, there's like 35, isn't there?
I'm not actually sure the exact number. Probably around
like 35 or 6. I think it's 35 or 36 movies right now.
Yeah, but I think that's the only franchise in the world where I think we could do that. I don't think there's any other franchise.
Because we've not actually said what it is yet.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I think the only other franchise that we could probably get away with, and this might be showing my age, but is the Land Before Time franchise. There's so many, Land Before Time films. It's unreal.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. Although I think I've seen like 2 ever, so I don't think I'd be very good at that.
The first 2, you're all right. They're the best.
Yeah, I've definitely seen the first one, but I reckon I probably saw like the 7th or 8th when I was just at my grandma and granddad's when I was little, and took absolutely none of it in. So, but yeah, we're going to be doing the MCU. By the way, every time you move your head, there's a really weird eye that keeps coming into focus. It's a bit like alarming. But yeah, we're going to be doing the MCU.
Every time I do this, I'm in a different location. I'm trying to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, just keep moving around. I can't wait till once when I tune in, it turns out you're just behind me somewhere in this fucking room. But yeah, so we'll crack on because I think this might be a bit of a long one because we've got to get through 20 picks in total. So as we're against each other, it kind of matters who goes first, and I think the only fair way to do that is rock, paper, scissors live on camera.
Oh my god! But yeah, what is it? Because we've been witness to many rock, paper, scissors games where people don't know when to go.
Right. So what we'll do: rock, paper, scissors, show.
Right.
And we'll just do one. It's all or nothing, sudden death. One game, one winner goes first.
Tie. We're 100% going to tie.
Yeah. Right. Rock, paper, scissors, show. Oh, are you kidding me? Right, I'd realised my hand wasn't even in shot then, so I'm going to keep it up here.
Two scissors. Ready?
Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, show. You go first. Oh shit! That's probably going to throw my game off completely. Right, I've got notes who I've got. You've got notes who you've got. So yeah, we'll name the categories as we go through them. But we'll have to pick in any order because there are, like I said to you off camera, there's certain categories where I've got a few plan Bs, and then others where it's all or nothing. I've got one film, and if I don't get that, I'm kind of screwed. So we'll pick which order we want to go in.
I'm going to rip my note page out, and I will take score of which films we've used and which films we haven't.
Wonderful, yeah, because I wouldn't be able to keep up with that. So yeah, without further ado, you can get us started, and I hope you haven't taken one of my big ones already. So you go.
What's the first category?
You can go. You can pick in whatever order you want, because I think like I said, there's somewhere I don't have many, so I don't want to leave certain ones towards the end and then risk that being taken. Like it might make sense for me to get it early.
Didn't realise that. So I get to pick the category as well. Well, that's completely changed the game. I'm gonna go with the main character as the start. Might as well start at the top. And I don't think we're going to agree on this one anyway. And there's going to be loads of people that probably unsubscribe anyway. But I'm going.
You're not going to do what I think you're going to do.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I'm going to go Age of Ultron because that is Hawkeye's movie.
Fucking hell. I tell you what, I'm not worried about that. I did have Age of Ultron for a separate category though, so that's what set me. But fucking Hawkeye, that's already lost you the fucking game. I'm sure there's no chance that wins.
There's no way we could win or lose. But man, Age of Ultron is Hawkeye's movie, the perfect movie for that character. That film wouldn't work without him. He is the heart and soul of that film. It's a bit of a joke. You know that Hawkeye's my favorite character, and it's always been a little bit of a running joke. But that movie genuinely doesn't work without him. And if you take him out, the heart is gone. There's many amazing moments of that movie, but Hawkeye is 100% the standout. And Jeremy Renner's a real hero.
I've got no words to say about Hawkeye. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind him. I think his Disney Plus series was actually one of the better ones as well. I don't mind Hawkeye at all. No, I don't hate him anywhere near as enough as some people do. Yeah. But I'm glad that's who you went with. That's all I'm saying. So sticking with favourite heroes, I'm going to quickly bounce back straight away and say Captain America in The Winter Soldier is my hero. I went straight off the bat. There was obviously a few different ones I wouldn't have minded taking, but I think because Captain America is my favorite hero, I had to get it. He's probably only behind Superman and the Flash in terms of superheroes in general for me. So yeah, that was one I was worried that I wouldn't get. So, and also Winter Soldier is a great film, so to get that off the board immediately helps me out as well.
Looking back, like thinking today, we should have done best Marvel movie and we should have left it till the end to really play strategically. But The Winter Soldier is 100% still my favorite Marvel movie of all time. I could pop that on now and watch it. And I've already seen it. I've definitely seen that one more than 15 times. And even with everything, it's perfect.
Yeah, I love it. Obviously, the very first episode of the show, I did it against The Dark Knight, which did win. But I had to stress so many times in that how much I do love The Winter Soldier. It's such a good movie.
I bet if we redid that episode with me and you, The Winter Soldier will come out. So,
yeah, you're not a big fan of The Dark Knight, are you?
I don't mind The Dark Knight. Everybody, because I say it's a bit overrated. Everybody thinks I hate it. I love The Dark Knight. It's just not the best. Not what everybody else thinks it is in my mind. But we continue.
And quickly though, before get sidetracked immediately. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Nolan this week. Where would you say The Dark Knight is in your favorite Christopher Nolan movies? Where would you rank that? Towards the top or middle or?
Oh, definitely in the top 5.
Yeah,
For me, it's Prestige, and then I think probably Oppenheimer, and then probably Dark Knight. To be fair, so top 3.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
At least it's still up there. I think it's definitely one of the top ones for me as well. But enough getting sidetracked with your.
It's not crappy Interstellar.
Oh yeah, he messaged me about that. You know.
I know.
He messaged me saying, "Just getting shouted out."
His way to moan to me today as well after last week's shout out. Cool. Which category are you taking next? Now that Age of Ultron and The Winter Soldier have taken out of the mix.
Oh, it's already thrown a spanner in the works because Age of Ultron was one of the only ones I had in a certain category. But to make sure I get this off the bat, I'm switching up. I'm going with one of the last ones we came up with, and I'm going with the best fist bump moment.
Oh, the best fist. Oh no.
And I'm immediately taking Captain America lifting Mjolnir in Endgame.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that is the only moment in an MCU movie that I've watched, in the cinema especially, where I actually yelled out loud. I don't usually react in the cinema to movies out loud, and I actually cheered at that. And I wasn't the only one in the room. Like, that is one of the most, it was incredible. Like, I got, goosebumps and everything. Like, it was such a good moment. And it felt like it had been built up for so long. Obviously, we saw him nudge it a tiny, tiny bit in Age of Ultron, and to see him finally do it, it was great, and it was one of the best moments of the film for me. So this is another one where if I didn't get this, there wasn't many other fist bump moments I had ready. So I'm glad I got this one.
whenever anybody, because we work in cinema, whenever anybody asks me what it's like or what my best experience has been, I'd love to say it's one of the like the working moments, but it's not. It's being in there, watching Endgame and Infinity War, the double bill, then it getting to that moment where you can see the hammer lift, and you fucking know what's going to happen. You know it like in your gut, like even though nobody had watched it before, you knew in your gut what was about to fucking come. And then as soon as that, I mean, you've seen me recreate it in shitty video form. Like as soon as that hammer grasps his hand and he does the little, and he pulls it back, it like proper flies into his hand. That screen was electric. I don't know if you were in there, but there was somebody who squealed like a little girl, so it could have been. But that screen was electric. Like I've never ever, as a non-cinema worker, as a cinema, I've never ever seen a moment like that out. Well, one other moment like that outside of that moment, and it was just. And as a film as well, I say so much build up to that moment, and as teasers and everything went along, you knew it had to come. Oh, what a moment!
Yeah, I actually went to watch Endgame alone in Hull for the midnight premiere when it came out. Like, I got a lift with some people from work who worked in a different department but didn't really know them. So I was just sat alone between two strangers. I think they knew each other because they kept like talking, but I was in between them. And when that happened, everyone around me was just cheering. And then I went to watch it again about a week later with Eleanor. And when that happened that time, I was more watching her to see her reaction just because it was such a great moment. So yeah, that was an easy one for me. That is probably for me the biggest fist pump moment in the entire franchise, if not one of the biggest fist pump moments in many franchises. So yeah, that was a must get.
Yeah, I don't know because I didn't have that as my fist pump moment.
That's crazy.
Well, because I thought he's going to pick Endgame. I didn't put Endgame on any of my list because I knew that you was going to pick Endgame for one of them.
That was actually the only thing I had Endgame for.
Really?
There wasn't any other moments in that or like aspects of it that I would take it for a category. That was the only one for me.
You see, now I'm torn because I've got a fist pump moment, but I've also only got that film in another category.
Oh.
Nah, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So for me, the one other fist pump moment that I've seen in an MCU movie outside of that, and it's a film after Endgame, which is rare.
Oh shit, I know what it is.
And it's not the one that everybody thought they was going to be excited for. It's when fucking Andrew Garfield came through that portal.
I knew it was going to be that. Fuck.
In No Way Home. It was amazing because we was watching it and it was happening, and Andrew Garfield came through that portal, and I watched it a second time in public like a week after it came out. So the news had already got out. Everybody already knew about it. And I watched it. It was full screen. It was a week after it come out, and Andrew Garfield came out, and that screen lit up. Like everybody was like, "Oh my!" And like proper, they started clapping, which is very rare, as you know. And it was amazing, quite literally. And for me, Andrew Garfield is the Spider-Man. He's my favorite. He will always, unfortunately, have the worst films, but he is still my favorite Spider-Man, my favorite Peter Parker. So having him come back, just phenomenal. And then obviously it's followed by Tobey Maguire, which is funny because nobody clapped for that bit, just Andrew Garfield. But to see him get a second chance in the best costume is what I would have given it, but I can't give it now because I've picked this film. I was going to try sneaking the Amazing Spider-Man costume in by picking No Way Home and being sneaky.
I wouldn't have even thought of that.
No, and that's why I picked it because I knew you wouldn't have done. But I'm going to get it out because there's him coming through that pot. But you knew it was happening as soon as they opened that portal. You knew what was going to happen. But everybody thought it was going to be Toby at the first, and it wasn't. It was Andrew Garfield, my man, the goat, coming through that portal.
Yeah, that was a hell of a moment. I actually teared up at that. I think I was so excited. I think we actually watched that in the same screen together, and I was with Eleanor, and there's a bit where the majority of his moments in that film just reduced me to tears, and the bit where she turned to me after he came in and was like, "Are you all right yet?" And I was like, "No," because I agree, he is my favorite Spider-Man. I love Andrew Garfield as an actor anyway, but I think he was great as Spider-Man. He was just let down by those films, and when he came back, it felt nice because there all of a sudden seemed to be this like newfound appreciation for him in the role, and people started calling for him to get another sequel, which it doesn't look like it's happening, but who
No, we'll
knows?
probably just get
Never
him in
say
a Venom
never.
movie. So
Yeah, it's a shame, but he was the best thing. When he caught Zendaya, I was a
yeah,
wreck. I was an absolute wreck. But yeah,
he also has the best line in the movie when he grabs them both and he's like, "I love you guys." And he's like,
yeah,
"Yeah."
he was great. It reminded me. I don't know if you ever watched like the DC Arrowverse shows, but they brought
Yeah,
Brendan Routh back as an older version of his Superman, and
yeah.
after that, everyone was like all of a sudden was talking about how
Loved his
underrated he
Superman.
was, and that's what it reminded me of. So it was nice. I'm glad he got that love
I
by
feel
coming
like
back.
people do this and then they don't go and watch the films, and then they go back and watch the films and go, actually, they're the first Amazing Spider-Man film. I genuinely still love it. It's just that second
Uh,
one.
yeah, the second one's not great, but I think the towards the end that the Gwen Stacy stuff was really well done. Like I think
Yeah,
even like the way it was shot was just unbelievable, and
yeah.
his acting was just fucking on another level. But that's Andrew Garfield. Like he's an incredible actor. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very upset you've taken No Way Home off, because I definitely had that in a different category.
Well, I don't know
But
what I'm going to do for another category now, and I've given it away already. So you might be able to stump me straight away, but we'll see.
it's your turn now to pick another
Oh,
one.
it is
So
shit. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
By the way, can I just quickly ask, are you writing down what movies and
yeah.
things
Yeah,
we
yeah,
both picked?
I'm making sure that we've got no doublets.
Just so at the end we can do a quick recap, because I'll probably forget everything that I've picked. So you might have to just tell me what I've done.
No, no, I've got him. I've got him.
Cool.
Oh, do I? Oh, do I? I'm going to go with the best ending to a movie.
Oh,
Ah, it's the one that started it all off. It's
that's
the best ending to the movie. Iron Man 1 is still the best ending to a Marvel movie today. The press conference, you think it's going to be, because at the time, obviously, everybody, it was, secret identities and all that, and you thought it was going to be, well, you didn't know where it was going to be. And then when he turns to literally, he might as well have looked directly in the camera, and I'm pretty sure he does, I am Iron Man. It just completely changed everything. That, to be fair, I could have put that on a fist pump moment, but it completely changed everything. It perfectly encapsulated who Tony Stark was. It perfectly encapsulated the movie, and it completely changed. I think that line, among with many of the other things that Iron Man did, completely changed what we got in the superhero movies following. All of a sudden, this superhero secret identity thing was out the window. Nobody cared anymore. And I mean, it's a line that's been repeated many, many times, all the way up until Endgame, which gave it an emotional kick in the balls of I am Iron Man. I don't know what else to say to it. It's fucking brilliant. The best way to end that movie is no other than obviously the after credit scene, which also I will count as the. We didn't do a best post credit scene secret.
Do you know? I was thinking earlier when I was making my list, I thought that'd have been an incredible one to do, best post credit scene.
And I would have picked Iron Man, and I would have thrown it straight out there. But yeah, Iron Man 1 had the best ending because it just changed everything. And if you weren't already in love with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, that solidified it 100%. Also, it's the most memorable. Let's be honest. Well, maybe there's probably one other ending in the series that matches it in a completely different way, but I'm not going to give you any hints to potentially take a film away from me.
Yeah, it's hard to say now, but it does feel like the MCU wouldn't be what it is now if it didn't have that ending. Like the whole celebrity status and none of the secret, because there's been a lot of heroes afterwards that didn't have. I think there's only Spider-Man that has a secret identity. Like
Yeah.
it's not like anything we've ever seen. Like we're used to these people living these normal lives and hiding behind the mask, but like you very rarely see anyone in the MCU just living a normal life. It seems to be just action constantly, and I think that is because there is no secret identity. There's no regular day job for most of them to hide behind, the way there is for like a Clark Kent at the Daily Planet. But yeah, that line, because it was so unexpected as well. Like I said, we hadn't seen anything like that, so no one saw that coming, and it was such an iconic line. And like you said, bringing it back in Endgame, it was the perfect like way to bookend the Tony Stark character. So yeah, that was my number one. Actually, I had
But
Iron
it's not
Man 1.
now, so pick some else.
To be fair, this one is a surprising one because I don't think I had this in any other category. So I'm gonna have to use it, and it is Infinity War with everyone just disappearing. It's one of the darkest endings, and it just ends on such a sour note. That yeah, I had to go with Infinity War for this one. I actually had this in. I've just remembered now. I said this. I actually had it in one other category, but I'd rather use it here. So because of how effective the ending was,
Yeah,
I've gone with Infinity War. Just because seeing it in the cinema, like you didn't know what to expect, and just watching like everyone disintegrate in front of your eyes, it was such a surreal experience. And it was like it just ended, and there was just silence. Like everyone was stunned, and no one really knew where we were going from there. And it was a very complete. It was a very, very, very different ending to say Iron Man, but I think it's just as iconic. So yeah, I went with Infinity War because it also brought me to tears with Tom Holland's Peter Parker
yeah.
disappearing in Tony's arms. Like that shit was so like emotional. So yeah, I went with Infinity War for those reasons.
I think the saddest part of Infinity War's ending was that we got to the end of the film and Hawkeye wasn't in the film at all, and it really was just very sad.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't know if it'd have made the money it did if he was in it.
Yeah, it could have made more money.
Would they have beat Thanos in that first one if Hawkeye was around?
Yeah, need to beat Thanos. Got an arrow for that.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. He's got an arrow for everything, as we saw in the Hawkeye TV show.
Yeah. Yeah, Infinity War's ending. Like, I think if you read the comics or had a glance in knowledge of what the storyline was, you kind of knew what was going to come. But it's one of them where even if you knew it was going to end on a sour note, or even if you knew it was going to end with Thanos' promise of wiping out half the universe, the way it was was whew, like the effect that was used. I mean, we've seen that effect in so many other things now, but the effect that was used, the music, the performances. Like I like obviously Tom Holland's Spider Man is the big one. That's that improvised line of um what he says and which is blanking
I
on me
think
now.
it's I don't want to go or
But
something
yeah,
like
I
that.
don't want to go, and he's holding him, and he's kind of he goes in Iron Man's hands. Like that's the one that talked about the most. But is Rocket and Rocket holding Groot is the one that breaks my heart the most because he's holding him like proper holding him. And I like when Winter Soldier kind of drops to the ground as well. That's great. Um, I think the only thing that takes me out of Infinity War's ending is when they're all just kind of sat there and Captain America says, "We lost," which is what a fucking phenomenal line. And I got called out by saying phenomenal lot and fantastic. So Grace asked me if she wanted me to buy. She wanted me to for her to buy me a thesaurus. I was like, no, I'm good. But no, like they're all stood there and dead sad, and we lost. And then you got the Hulkbuster with Mark Ruffalo's head just kind of floating with the one poor bit of CGI in the entire film. But and then ending with like Thanos smiling at the sunset, like that's some next level shit right there. I will stand on any hill and say, and Infinity War is the better film than Endgame. I will always defend that opinion, and that ending is what solidifies it for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Can I just say that? Do you know? Because obviously you knew a little bit about. I don't know if you've read the story before, so you knew what to expect. But I
Oh,
had a
massive
vague idea.
nerds.
Yeah, I had a vague idea what to expect. But did it surprise you when the characters that disappeared were all the new ones and it left the OGs? Because I assumed it would be if there were going to be like a mass wipeout, it'd be the originals at the time. Because I
Yeah,
thought it
actually,
became very predictable that they'd come back. Because there was a Spider-Man sequel announced when he disappeared, so it kind of took the edge off a little bit. And I get that in Endgame
I
it made sense because they all got to do one last team up with that original group before
yeah.
they disappeared. But like at the time, it felt a bit like, oh well, we know these are coming back. Where say Iron Man, Cap disappeared, there was no guarantee on that.
I don't know if you can remember when Endgame came out. Well, when Endgame was being promoted, Far From Home was also being promoted, and it's like there's another Spider-Man movie. And it was like, well, we know what's going to happen, and they were like, no, it takes place before Infinity War. It's like, no, it doesn't. It clearly doesn't. He's got the
No.
Iron Spider suit. It clearly doesn't. And yeah, that kind of took a little bit of the edge off. But no, I was a little bit surprised that all of the OGs made it. But then, like you say, you think about it just a little bit, and it's they're gonna have one last ride, the original Avengers versus Thanos. And I will say, another fist pump moment would have been when they all came back the portal scene in Endgame. And I think if you didn't have that struggle with the original 6 Avengers, then that wouldn't have had as much of a payoff because we've been with them since the beginning. It does make sense. But no, I was surprised that Spider-Man went, and Star-Lord, I think, was the biggest surprise for me. Keeping Rocket was kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. But Star-Lord going was a big shock to me because he seemed like the one. It was Chris Pratt, and at the time, everybody actually liked him. For some reason, they hate him now. But it was like getting rid of Tom Holland Spider-Man, getting rid of Chris Pratt, getting rid of Black Panther. It was strange because these were like on top of the world at the time. But yeah.
So it kind of gave it away that they were going to come back, but I still think it was a really effective ending. And you just mentioned there like a fist bump moment. If I hadn't gone Cap lifting the hammer, I'd have gone with Thor arriving in Wakanda.
That's what
Infinity
I had for my fist bump moment. Yeah.
That would have been my second one, but I had to sacrifice it so I could get my favorite, and then it made sense having this for the ending. So right, I'll pick another one now, and I'm kind of stumped. I don't know where to go. I think I'd get the best fight scene out of the way because there's another one
here. You've already taken the Winter Soldier off the board, so
I know that was difficult because originally when I first made this list, I had the elevator scene in the Winter Soldier as my number one. But I'm doing this now because this next one I think is by far my favorite, and that is Captain America: Civil War. Captain America and the Winter Soldier versus Iron Man. The film's conclusion. That scene was incredible. Like just seeing the heroes fight throughout the entire thing, but then that final showdown and the way Iron Man was holding his own against 2 like really skilled fighters, but then the way it went down, and it was the lines when Cap was like, he pulled out the "I can do this all day," and did he say something like, "He's my friend," and Tony's like, I thought I was," or something like that.
Yeah, so was
like,
I.
It was so good. Like, and I'm a big Team Cap guy, so I'm glad he eventually was the one that kind of got the upper hand. But that entire showdown at the end was the perfect way to end that film. And I know a lot of people were disappointed with Civil War because it is very different to the comic, which it is. I've read the comic as well, and the comic is better. There's no debating that. But I still think the way they did that final showdown and just seeing all the different heroes fight and the introducing Spider-Man, that I actually really enjoyed the film. So ending it with that was the perfect way to do it. And I think it ended it on a high note. And it really cast a doubt of whether we'd ever see Captain America and Iron Man on the same page again. Yeah. So that fight scene was incredible. That was one I had to get. If I wasn't getting anything from the Winter Soldier, which has several of the best fight scenes in the entire franchise, that was the one I was going for. So that made sense.
I think the moment in that fight when Bucky's on one side and Cap's on the other side and Tony's getting beat down, and then there's a moment where Cap throws the shield, it hits Tony Stark, Bucky grabs it, hits him, it goes back to Cap. It's like, oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, they were just whooping his ass for a while.
And I fucked off because I was going to pick that, and that also means that because of what we chose so far, one category has been completely wiped out of all my choices, and it's the category that I was struggling with the most.
That's your fault for not using it earlier.
I know, and now I'm debating because I either use a film here or not. Oh, wait, who's picking after this? Is it me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, never fucking mind then. But yeah, the Civil War fight. Like, there's so many great fights in Civil War. The airport fight is great. Which there's no stakes to it at all. There's no stakes to that. So it's fun, and you get the moments with like Ant-Man. When he turns to the giant man, it's like tiny guy's big now. But that fight at the end, it's with it ending with Steve dropping his shield and just walking off, and Bucky's arm's been ripped off, and Iron Man's what the fuck's his chest piece called?
I can't remember the heart thing that he's got going on.
The arc reactor, when that's been like neutralized by having Cap absolutely destroy it. Yeah, because we couldn't do Winter Soldier. For me, it's the street fight in Winter Soldier when you first see that beautiful knife flip. But yeah,
Was that the when he says, "Who the hell's Bucky?"
yeah, it's the first time him and Bucky fight outside of like Sam, like in the street.
Yeah,
The first time when he's chasing him down, but the second time when he's fighting him in the street and he's doing
and
the
Black
knife flip and
Widow's
he's proper
involved as
beating
well.
into him. Yeah, yeah.
That is a good. That's a very good. Like I said, that
For the
that film's
fans.
got like three of the best fight scenes in any MCU movie. So it was hard taking it in a different category, but I feel like having this at the end of Civil War made up for that for me.
What do I pick? Okay, well, I'm going to say one of them for the best for the next category, which I'm going to pick in a second. I'm going to go a kind of a different way. Different way. Yeah, I'm going to go for. Oh no, I don't know. Oh, you fucking thrown me. I regret bringing this idea to the table. Fine. Yeah, I'm going to go a completely opposite direction, and I'm going to go Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for the best fight, and it's the opening with the music, Mr. Blue Sky. So
Yeah,
it's the fighting in the background whilst Groot's dancing. So it's a completely different type of fight. But it's I don't know, it's a fantastic opening to a film. Oh no, I just thought of another one and now I can't pick it. Shit.
yeah, the best opening
No, no, I got the no,
because we haven't used that yet.
no, I thought we had piss. No, I'm gonna stick with my guns. While Groot's dancing, and there's a bit where like Drax gets dropped on the floor and like looks at him and he does that like that cute like look back at Guardians 1 when he kind of freezes. My favorite bit is the when he's dancing and Gamora's like stood there shooting the. I'm not even going to try and pretend to remember what the big beast called, the basilisk thing. And he's like Groot's waving and she's shooting. She's like, "Hi," and then it carries on shooting. And then like when Drax gets swallowed and he's like inside mashing it with his knives. It's a completely different type of fight, but entertaining. Like I've got my issues with Guardians too. I think it suffers with a bit of sequelitis where it's like, oh, you like that in number one? We're going to do that extra hard in number two. But the opening to that film is still probably one of my favorite film openings of the MCU and probably of all time because it's just so fucking funny. I loved it, and I can't believe I didn't pick it for my opening, but the fight scene in it is fantastic. It's perfectly mashed up with the music.
Yeah, and it meets that Guardians like style perfectly. That
Yeah,
is the only franchise like trilogy in the MCU where you'd expect to see something like that. And it just suits those guys perfectly, and it is really good. Like I love how the fight is actually almost like an afterthought, and the primary focus is Groot just like boogieing around and stuff. It is really good. I like that a lot. Like it is, and it is one of the best openings. I didn't have it in best opening, but it is one of the best. Um, but yeah, that's a good one.
right. What about pick now? I'm gonna go best sequel, and
You know what my
we've already picked Civil War and Winter Soldier, so fuck
yeah.
there.
And do
But
you know what
nobody's
I
picked
had? No Way Home was going to be my number one, and you took that.
best sequel.
That was my number one for best sequel.
Yeah, Far From Home is just not as good.
No,
I've got two to pick from. Well, no, I haven't because we fucking used them. Piss. Right, I'm gonna go with what I was. Right, I was gonna pick this for my best fight, but then I thought it was between Guardians 2 and this, and Guardians 2 isn't a better sequel. So for me, for the best sequel, I'm going to go Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
oh,
Yes!
oh shit! That was the one I had number one. Now, fuck.
Look, it's perfect. It's
Yeah, it is a wonderful film.
not only is it a fantastic sequel, not only does it complete in what I would call one of, I would perfectly call it, I would personally call it one of the perfect trilogies. But oh, what a fucking movie! Not only that, but it reminded people what Marvel can be after all these subpar films, let's say. But it treats the Guardians exactly like they should be treated. Not the weird shit we saw in Love and Thunder. The whole film isn't about it doesn't do Guardians 2 as much, and it's about the heart. It's about the main character, Rocket. Perfect. It's got some of the best moments in MCU movies. Like one of my fist pump moments I wrote down was when he lands on the ground after using the grab boots at the end. He's like Rocket Raccoon and fucking shoots him. I fucking love that bit. I've seen that film. That's probably the first Marvel film I've watched multiple times in cinemas in a long while. Like everything else, I've watched once and gone, right, cool. MODOK's great. I'm not going to watch it again, like Ant-Man. But Guardians 3 is just, and the ending with Dog Days Are Over. I have watched that film at the cinema probably 5 times now, and I have teared up or just flat out cried every time watching that ending. It's when Drax starts dancing. I'm fucking getting teary now. It's when Drax starts dancing after that film build up. Like they kind of did in Dirty by not having him fight Thanos properly, but that build up of him losing his family in the first one, well, his backstory, getting that relationship with Mantis in the second one, then finally becoming a father to not one or two, but like a whole group of lost children just fucking gets me. Every single character gets a payoff, including Gamora, who isn't the Gamora we know and love. She gets her own payoff, which is better than I expected. I didn't know what they was going to do with him, and it was better than what I expected. So that's why I went best sequel with Guardians 3. And I dare you to come up with a better one than that.
Yeah, that upset me. Don't even think I listened to a single fucking word you just said because I'm fuming. That was the one I had. I do you know what as well? I had that in multiple different categories as like backups. So like I had that in best ending if Infinity War wasn't there for me because I love the ending of that film so much. I had it in sequel. I had it in another one as well, which we haven't used yet. So I'm having to switch up mentally now.
I had it in best fight, which is why I chose Guardians 2 because it is a better sequel, and it's that No Sleep Till Brooklyn moment the whole way when they just go all out.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Sequence.
Yeah, I think that's actually a better fight than Guardians 2. But like you said, Guardians 3 is the better sequel, so you got to do what you got to do there.
I'm playing tactical, baby.
Yeah. Shit. Right. I'm mentally trying to just readjust everything. So what category? I'm best sequel. I've been rattled. Right, best sequel. This is something I had in a different category, but I've had to switch up now.
Go on, I dare you. I'm meant to.
Absolutely not.
The Dark World, I dare you.
No. Funny enough, though, it is a 4. I'm going Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Thor Ragnarok. I had this in a different category, but I'm taking it now. This is without a doubt the best Thor film, and I think it's like not even close. Like it's weird because the entire all 4 movies, like one's fine, 2's disappointing, 4's disappointing, and then 3 is legitimately fucking great. Like it's the weirdest like upturn and then swift straight back down afterwards. It's such an outlier, but that film was incredible. Like it was Taika Waititi's first film in the franchise. It was before he went overboard with the comedy. Like he found the perfect balance in that one, I think, and it was just really, really good. We saw short hair Thor, which was the best version of Thor, I think.
We talked last week about Margot Robbie being the finest woman. Short hair Thor with the cuts in it, all bloody and whatnot, with the paint on him.
One of the finest men of all time, yeah. Add the eye patch and we're good to go, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
Like he was great, and I think including Hulk was a really smart idea as well. Because that's 2 characters that have never really had a strong relationship on screen. Like you don't really see them too much. So having them spend that like the last like 2/3 of that movie together was so good, and it's so funny, like stuff with like the past where like the strongest Avenger and stuff, and when he says that's what heroes do and he goes to throw the thing through the window and it bounces back his, that film had me laughing out loud a lot, more than I think any MCU movie had up until that point. But I also think like Hela was a great villain, which is something the 4 films have struggled from, but she was a great villain.
And
yeah, just even like the way she showed up looking all gothy and then just immediately destroyed Mjolnir, which was it was like, okay, this motherfucker means business. And it was great. And we obviously saw Odin, the end of Odin is the nicest way to put that, I imagine. But we saw Odin go. We got the whole bit at the end with Asgard just going down. We got the actual Ragnarok event, which was quite clever, and the way he did that was really good. But I think it was just the best version of Thor, I think, because the first couple of Thor films, I don't think did him that much justice. He felt more like Shakespearean and in who he was, and it felt more medieval. But that one was like the first really modern version of the character, I think, and I think it was the best version. And like after that, we saw him in Infinity War, which took that version of Thor and just like multiplied it by 10. And him in Infinity War is probably one of my favorite like superhero performances ever. Like he's badass as fuck, and we saw how quickly it went downhill afterwards. So Ragnarok, not just the best Thor film, one of the best sequels in the MCU. I'm happy with that. But like I said, I had it in somewhere else, but I'm having to pivot that. But I'm happy with it in the sequel, I think.
Yeah, Ragnarok's it is like I know it's a massive departure and it's really silly, but just in like the small bits, like the design of Sakaar, the planet, with all like Jack Kirby-esque kind of drawings and on the designs of the buildings and stuff, and yeah, including Hulk as bringing in a little bit of that gladiatorial World War Hulk visuals and storyline, and some of the best lines from the entire MCU come from that movie as well. Like the bit where he's talking about how Loki turned into a snake, and he's like, ugh! And when Bruce Banner's freaking out, and Thor's like, "Her sun's getting real low," and or it's not a disguise until I do this. But like,
I didn't even mention Korg. Korg was in that film, and in
oh
that
yeah,
film,
Korg,
Korg
yeah,
was fucking hilarious.
the one appearance of Korg where he's not irritating as fuck.
He was great in that film. He was
Yeah,
legitimately so funny.
Piss off Ghost being one of the lines that got laugh out loud laughter every single time.
And the
Yeah, I
little
think
rock paper scissors joke that he made, I loved
yeah,
that.
and Valkyrie as well. Like I love Valkyrie in that movie as well. Like and Jeff fucking Goldblum,
Yeah, he was incredible.
who needs to come back to the MCU. We need more Goldblum in the MCU, but
I'm surprised they haven't found a way to like bring that character back in the Guardians films because it feels like right up their street.
yeah, it does feel. Well, he's in the comics. He's related to the Collector, and so I thought something was going to happen, but I guess not. But there needs to find a way to bring it back, but hopefully with better writing than what we've had recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Thor Ragnarok is just a and another moment you've not mentioned is are you the god of hammers? And then you get the amazing immigrant song, and as he's on the bridge with the lightning, and he's like that side shot. Just wow, yeah, good choice, good
That
choice.
was actually going to be what I used it for. Best needle drop was going to be Immigrant Song. That was what I was going to use it for originally, but I obviously switched that up because I'll go now with best needle drop. Actually, I didn't expect this to still be on the board.
Oh shit! I completely
So
forgot about needle drop, and I've not. Oh no, we've used Infinity War.
yeah, I didn't expect this to still be on the board. So I didn't have this as my number one option, but because it is, I'm taking it, and that is the first Guardians, Hooked on a Feeling. I thought it'd go in a different category. I don't know why, but I didn't see this still being here for me. So I'm glad I got that. But like I said, originally I was going to have Immigrant Song, but because I knew I was going next, I thought this is probably the most iconic needle drop in the entire MCU. Like the way this song is now almost synonymous with the film, and the way they poke fun at it later in Endgame. Like it's one of the best ways to introduce a character. Like it made Star-Lord seem quite goofy, but also really fucking cool at the same time. And it's just a great song. So yeah, Hooked on a Feeling. Not much else you could say about it. It's incredible. Probably the best needle drop in the entire franchise. Fuck you for taking one of the best sequels, Guardians 3. This is on you. Peace out.
I've not listened to a word you just said because I'm fucking livid. Do you know what? I wrote them all down as to what I've got, and I completely forgot about fucking needle drop. And and we've used all the fucking Guardians movies, and
Yeah.
they've got the best ones. I was okay. Well, in my head, Infinity War was going to go for the best needle drop, and it's like the one and only needle drop in that film, and it's when it says, "Who are you calling?" and then it cuts, and it just says space, and then that rubber band man starts playing, and you've got
Yeah, that's
Peter
incredible.
Quill doing that in the ship.
Yeah, and Drax, he tells Drax to take it away, and Drax is asleep.
Yeah. Oh shit. Well, yeah. Hooked on a Feeling. Not only is it good in Guardians 1, but it's also like good. Like the very first trailer for Guardians, it's got like a version of Hooked on a Feeling that's got some like really bassy drums as it like kind of flashes from black to like scenes of the film before it kicks in, and it's it's still probably one. It is, well, it is not probably. It's definitely one of my favorite trailers for the MCU. And I'm stalling because I can't fucking think of anything.
I'll tell you what, that was where Guardians 3 would have been another good option for Dog Days Are Over. That would have been a really good one as well.
Yeah, well,
Guardians 3,
yeah, you're
that
right.
could have been used in just about any category.
Oh yeah, it would have been, wouldn't it, Cal? It would
Yeah,
have
but
been.
you took it away from me. So
would have been shit.
yeah, this is why I took this down because I can't legitimately think of any others.
Shit. Oh, you're right. Fucked me up here. Right. Okay, I'm gonna give a film some love that I didn't think was gonna happen today, but I'm gonna give it some love. And I'm gonna. Oh no, but if I do that, I'm pissed. Okay, no, fuck it. That's the only one I can think of. Can't believe I'm talking about Iron Man 2, but I'm going Iron Man 2. No! Oh no! Can I change it or have I said it now?
I'll let you change it because
Okay.
ain't no one touching Iron Man 2. So
I'm gonna go Iron Man 3. And it's quite literally a needle drop. And it's at the beginning when he's playing the Christmas song, mixed with when he's playing Dashing Through the Snow, and I can't remember when what it's mixed with, but it's when he's dancing and he's doing like the hip movement, and the he's having the pieces of the suit fly to him. And he does that little jump to have the thing land in his face, the faceplate land in his face, and he does the superhero pose, and it all just kind of comes apart. But that we've used Iron Man 2 for that as well. But I hate you, and I hate myself for missing out on the needle drop when I was doing my fucking notes. That was because I was too excited to watch Ninja Turtles. I'm so livid. I'm so livid right now.
terrible.
But yeah, it is a great scene. It sets up the film being a Christmas film. It sets up like that cocky Iron Man 3 Tony Stark persona, and it gives you an introduction as to his new suit, which actually comes into play on how it works later on. So yeah, I'm going to go that, and I'm going to just sit here seething from rage.
I mean, you can't sit there too long because it's your pick now. What category we're doing? You're next up. And first of all, how many categories have we got left? Because I've lost count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've only done 6, so
We've done 6. We've got 4 left. What have we got left?
So we've got villain left. We've got costume left. We've got origin left, and we've got opening.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Shit.
Some of these are limited now.
No. No. Right. Okay. I'm gonna go best opening. Oh no. Yes, I'm gonna go best opening. I thought I fucked myself over there. I'm gonna go best opening, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Spider-Man: Homecoming with
Okay.
the camera footage, the recorded footage of the Civil War,
Yeah.
and then him being in the apartment and all of that. And then it kind of immediately transitioning into him being the day-to-day Spider-Man. I love that opening. Just the camera footage of it all happening. It's just a really, really quirky way to open up a movie, a superhero movie, and really show, because we got to meet Peter Parker in Civil War, which I think was a fantastic way to bring him into the MCU. I wish it weren't ruining trailers, and I'll fight that battle forever. But Cal, can you imagine sitting down not knowing Spider-Man was going to be in that movie, and then he fucking turns up?
Yeah, they definitely ruined it by letting us know that before, because that would have been one of the most like, oh my fucking god, like that would have been such a shock. I think we already knew Homecoming was coming, right? Because Homecoming was released a year later, but still,
No,
if that would have been the introduction and we didn't expect it, and we thought we'd had to wait a year, that would have been so good.
and I think that's the only reason it was put in the trailer, because Sony had said they're doing a new Spider-Man film, but there was no, everybody was like speculating, and I think it would have been leaked. It definitely would have been leaked.
Yeah.
But can you imagine sitting down and watching Civil War and being like, I know a guy and it's Peter Parker. But anyway, the best like having that moment where he finds his suit, and he's got all them moments with Happy, and you see the Civil War fight from a different perspective, and he's got the camera and he's like, oh, that Iron Man? Is that Captain America? And then I've got to go, and he does that trailer moment again, but from the camera angle, and then like all leading up to that bit where he's like, I get to keep the suit, and it moves out, and then there's that amazing moment again that was in the Homecoming trailer where he goes to open the door for him, and he goes to hug him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" But I was going to go Guardians of the Galaxy 1 because I love the opening to Guardians of the Galaxy 1 when he gets the emotional opening with 10cc, fantastic song. And then moving into the singing and dancing through Morak, I think the planet's called, when he's got the rat in his. But yeah, Homecoming is the best one for me.
Do you know, I never even thought of Homecoming, but that is a really good one, and it is one of the best ways. Like, 'cause similarly to what we said earlier about like the Guardians fight scene, that is like the perfect way to introduce who Peter Parker is as a character. Like, it's such a light-hearted way, and that is like perfectly captures who he is. So I didn't think of it, but it is a really good one, and that film's really underrated itself now, I think.
Homecoming is, if we're not including animated versions, Homecoming is my number one Spider-Man film.
Is it really?
It really is. Like, far from No Way Home's fantastic, but you take away the things that you take away the nostalgia bit and the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, and it's just not that great. It's kind of by the numbers. It probably goes home. I mean, we're going to do Spider-Man one day, I'm sure, but probably goes Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, and then probably No Way Home for me. Or Amazing Spider-Man 1, actually. I love that film.
I think I've still got Spider-Man 2, number one. But yeah, we have spoke about doing like a Spider-Man episode, and maybe even branching off to do like a triple threat, like with one from each franchise. Yeah, well, yeah, you want to call it that. I was trying to keep it PG.
Oh yeah, so all of the swearing is me calling you an absolute fucker.
Yeah, that can't be helped. Right.
Stop stalling, Carl. What's your favourite opening?
So this is actually interesting because I had an answer for this, and I've changed it to something I never even considered before. Like, it came to my mind whilst you were giving your answer. I don't know why, because it's got nothing to do with anything you just said. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention to you. Like, whenever you talk, I kind of drift away, I think. No.
Oh, what's new there? That's always been the case with you.
No, this is my pick. It's a very, 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 very effective opening, but for completely different reasons to Homecoming, and that is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and the very, very moving tribute to Chadwick Boseman, which I'm not ashamed to admit, tears were streaming down me cheeks. Like, usually when I'm watching a film, if it's emotional, there'll be a couple. My eyes will tear up, maybe one or two. But that, I think I had a snotty nose. It was that bad. Like, it was such an emotional opening. And yeah, I know some people think it went on a little bit too long, but I just think the really moving scene where they have the funeral, and when his sister Shuri's told that he's passed, and just the way they reacted, because we lost Chadwick in real life, and it felt so raw and real, and it felt like they weren't reacting to T'Challa, they were reacting to Chadwick, and it was the perfect way to pay tribute to him, I think. So I had to go with that because it's not a film I had in any other category. Like, I'm going to be honest. So I think this was the perfect way to use it as well. And it's not one of my favorite MCU openings, but it's definitely one of the ones that hit me the hardest, and it left a lasting impression. So yeah, I've gone with Black Panther to Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with that film as well is everybody was waiting to see what they'd do. Everybody was waiting to see how were they going to tackle this. And I think it was done really well. It was the Shuri moments when she's being told that he's gone after she's really struggling to try and get it to work, and like she said, and she has that breakdown of fan. Like, she carried a lot of that movie, and yeah, really emotional opening. Really emotional opening.
It felt like we lost him all over again.
Yeah, and you can tell it wasn't all performance. You could tell the emotion was there in the acting. If any acting was there, and yeah, good pick. Good pick.
That one came out of nowhere.
Okay, but what's next?
So next, I'm going to go with Best Origin, and I'm going to go my boy Captain America: The First Avenger.
That's fine.
Because that film is actually it's my favourite from the first, what do they call it? Phase one. It was my favourite.
Over Iron Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if it's just if it's because Cap's my favourite character, but the World War II like setting, and the whole stuff with like Bucky and then his entire team. I can't remember what they're called, the Howling Commandos or something like that. Like
favorite of the Phase 1, can't even remember what they're called.
I can't remember their names. No, they're in like 5 scenes. But like the love story, Peggy, the emotional ending, which again it really fucking got me. That the whole I'm not gonna be hitting the date, I think, is what he said, and then just ending it with him waking up in modern times and realizing the room was just like fake, and he runs out onto the street and Nick Fury's there. Like, so from start to end, I think it's incredible. I think Hydra and Red Skull being the villains are great because obviously Red Skull's his most iconic villain, so it was surprising that they got him off the bat immediately. But I suppose with the World War II setting, it kind of had to be done. I will say, scrawny Steve Rogers looks weird as hell. Like it's clearly fake. But that's one of my favorite scenes in the entire MCU is when he's at the train, they're doing training, and he jumps on the grenade. Like I think it captures who Steve Rogers is, even without the super soldier serum. Like it captures who he is perfectly, and that entire film I just think is incredible. I love World War II movies anyway, so having World War II in that, I think it's why I like Wonder Woman so much as well, because they go to World War One, and just having like the World War setting and having it be like a period piece, it's so effective for me, and I love Bucky in that. And I wasn't as well versed in the comics when I watched that for the first time because I was like 14, 15. So I didn't know Bucky would come back as the Winter Soldier. So when he died, I felt that he was gone. Like, so it hit me harder than it obviously would now, knowing what I know. So yeah, that film is it's underrated. I think it's not a lot of people rate it as highly as I do. I love it.
I love it too. I think that and Thor 1 are underrated for me. I love Thor 1 as well. I'm not putting it in this category, but I love Thor.
You don't love it that much.
No, not that much, no. But yeah, the first cap, it feels pulpy, like, and it didn't feel out of place, even though it felt really pulpy. And that was at a time when like Marvel films were like, whoa, and this is going to be this, and this is going to be that, and it's like different genres. But this it fit. The film almost feels like somebody sat telling you the story of what happened there, and it's got like that exaggerated like pulp feel to it. But yeah, I love that. I've got a massive soft spot for that movie too, and the ending when you can see that he knows that something's not right, and then he does a runner, and then ends up in the real world, and you know Howard Stark in that movie is great. Peggy Carter, the love of my life. About Haley Atwell.
Their love story in that first one, it's so well done as well. Like it's perfect. Like it. I'm so glad I know a lot of people have criticism for that, the fact that they went back to it all those years later, but I'm glad they did. I don't give a fuck. Like I loved it. The whole the dance thing and him having to take the plane down was so well done.
Yeah, and like you say, Steve Rogers showing who he really is by jumping on the grenade or taking the pin out and the flagpole coming down rather than trying to climb it and stuff. I love that movie.
And also Tommy Lee Jones is incredible as the general. I think he's awesome.
When is Tommy Lee Jones not awesome? Other than being like a very angry old man who's got his own opinion. I rewatched Men in Black over the week or yesterday, and he's fucking great in that movie.
Yeah, the first Men in Black film is legitimately fucking ace. I love it so much.
Back when they did good.
Yeah, that's about all. That was as good as it got. I don't think any of them ever even came close after that. But also with the soldiers and stuff, and the fact it was in that World War II setting. When in Winter Soldier, when he visits the memorial and where it's at the museum, and you see them, it felt like it was old friends that we'd lost. Like I was like, oh god, yeah, because they can't come back, and because of that,
except so Bucky does.
Effective. Oh, apart from Bucky, I mean like the normal guys, not the ones that went crazy, but like the entire team, because you got to know them as well. Like I think one of them is the guy from Band of Brothers, and he was Damien Dark in the Arrow shot. I can't remember his name.
Dum Dum Dugan.
Yeah,
well, I don't know the actor's name, but he plays Dum Dum Dugan. Yeah,
but he was really good. So seeing those guys and then having to lose them, like it felt like we'd lost them. But yeah,
I like the small fact. There's a guy who's a part of Cap's Howling Commandos that's also the principal in Spider-Man: Homecoming. The same actor plays the same guy, and then when they brought it to the attention of the people who were making Homecoming, they was like, okay, well then let's just put medals on the wall and put pictures up of the guy from Captain America 1. So it turned out like it was his grandson. They just used the same actor.
Similarly, they used the woman, one of like the nurses, or I think she's a nurse that's into him, ends up being the woman that plays Star Lord's mom.
Yeah, and
And
they're
they're
like,
saying,
oh,
"Oh, that must have been
is
his
it his
grandmother,"
grandma? Yeah, it must be.
which is why she had a bit of that super serum in the mum, which is why she survived Ego. But
Right,
yeah,
Origin.
well, so yeah, that's my pick for Origin. What have you got?
I'm so glad that we've got this far and this film hasn't come up yet because I feel like a sneaky little fucker, and I'm going to go with the first Avengers film because it's the origin of the Avengers, Cal.
That's and it's technically it's Hawkeye's, I think, because he's got that little bit in
He's
Thor,
got a
but you
little
don't
bit of
really
Thor,
see
but
much of him.
double whammy, baby. But
Isn't it the first appearance of Agent Hill as well?
yes, it is.
Maybe. So
Lots of
yeah,
lots of origins, lots of
yeah.
origins. But obviously, I'm being a bit sneaky with this one. But it is the origin of the Avengers as a whole, and it was a film that was either going to really, really fucking work or really, really fucking not. And luckily, it really, really worked. Like even going back watching it, yes, it's completely different. It's a little bit dated, and other films have done things better, but you can't deny the absolute mastery of how all these different films and all these. I think the biggest thing was, are these characters going to mesh well? And yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. When they first have that, you've always got to have the heroes have got to fight before they can be friends, and they do it in the forest. And it's like Tony Stark's like, "Duff, Marvino, you're wearing thy drapes to Thor," and he's like, "Bring the hammer down," and he does it on the shield. Like it's just a fantastic moment, and then it just keeps going and going and going all the way up until that last battle in New York, which resonates all the way to the end of the MCU now, the Battle of New York, and I mean, Loki is okay in it. I mean, Loki's not my favorite character, never has been, but he's good in it. He was like the top tier villain of the MCU, and that's how it was done. And just all the characters, like you're like, how is Hawkeye going to play into this? And he does, he really does. And that I think
Don't
that's
ask that.
I think everybody was like after that film. Do you know what? Hawkeye is the best character.
Not one person asked how's Hawkeye going to play into the Avengers.
I did multiple times, and getting that Cap and Tony relationship like that early on. When Tony Stark first arrives and he's taking ACDC over on the sound system and he flies in, that great moment in Stuttgart when the guy doesn't kneel and is like, "There'll always be men like you" and stuff like that. It's just a great movie, and like I say, so many people wondered was it gonna live up to it. Like I remember going and watching it. Like I've seen every MCU movie in the cinemas because I'm old. And as an adult, I think Iron Man 1 came out in what 2009. So
2008 it was.
all right, mate. I was in college,
I was a
and
child.
I think I must have been 19. Yeah, because I didn't start college till 19. So I like watched them all from and like building up to the Avengers. I remember it like being this big event that we all got together and went out to, and it was fantastic, and it really does pay off. As yes, I am being sneaky that it's an origin movie, but it does pay off. If you didn't have that, and you didn't, if that didn't work, we wouldn't have had Endgame, we wouldn't have had Hawkeye's movie or Age of Ultron. You know, we wouldn't have felt as badly as we did in Infinity War, and we wouldn't have felt as excited as we did in Endgame when everybody came back in that fight. So that's why I went sneaky when Avengers.
You know what? I think
Assemble
it
in the
is.
UK. Avengers Assemble in the UK.
I think it is a little sneaky, but it's also very clever. Like I can't judge Robin for that. That is very. It is an origin story, so I'll give you that. I actually
Also, it's got
almost
that
took this.
amazing. Sorry, it's also got that amazing bit in the Battle of New York when it's that. I know it's a digital long one shot, but it's that one shot of when you go from hero to hero, ending with Hulk punching Thor out of shot. What a film!
That could have been a fist pump moment, I think.
Yeah,
But I also almost took this in best opening. That was what I was originally
yeah,
going to go with until I went with Wakanda Forever because the whole bit when it's Nick Fury and Agent Hill and they're in I think it's like a car park, and that's when Loki shows up and takes the Tesseract and he turns Hawkeye, which was probably good because I think if Hawkeye was on the team, that film might not have been. We might not have seen any more. Get him
Well, if
out
it
of
was
the
a good
team.
guy, if it was a good guy, it would have been over straight away. What's the point? That's why they have to.
Can I ask you a quick question? Before the MCU, was Hawkeye your favorite character, or is it Jeremy Renner's performance that made him your favorite?
I always liked Hawkeye, but not to that extent. He's always just kind of been a character, but it was Jeremy Renner's performance as Hawkeye that actually made him turn me on to the character. And then after that,
It turns you on.
yeah,
Just wanted to clear that up.
just yeah, Hawkeye took me on. And then when Matt Fraction's run of the comic came out, which is the perfect run of Hawkeye comics, which was kind of adapted into the TV show, that's when I was like, yeah. I've always kind of been attracted to archery characters like archery. Like my favorite DC character is Green Arrow. Maybe I'm just weird. Maybe
That was going to be my next question, actually. Like, I don't know if you're more of a DC or Marvel guy, but I was going to ask you if you
Star Wars.
is that I didn't know that was an option, but that's always an option, I suppose. But I didn't know if you're more Hawkeye or Green Arrow.
Yeah, more. I watched most of Arrow, but before it started getting shit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Those first couple of seasons were incredible.
Yeah, I really like it. But yeah, definitely more of a Marvel fan. 100% more of a Hawkeye fan. If it was in my home, I'd be able to hand to the. I've got an entire complete collection of Hawkeye pops. I'm not missing one.
That's terrible.
Yeah, well, we've all got our things we're ashamed of.
Maybe
it's living so close to Sherwood Forest. Maybe that's what's got me into Hawkeye.
Maybe. Did you ever watch Smallville?
No, never anything that appealed to me.
Because they've got Green Arrows in that for about season 6 onwards. He's very good. He actually feels more like Green Arrow because I think the one in Arrow was way too miserable. Like he was Batman, but with a bow and arrow, essentially.
I think that was the point, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the Smallville one was like the light-hearted, quippy guy that you came to expect, and it was played by the guy from that This Is Us, Justin Hartley. He was really good, actually.
Oh.
He was very good. Keep getting sidetracked. Yeah, so I think we've got 2 categories left. What have we got?
We've got best costume and best villain.
Right, and it's your turn to pick a category. So here we go. What have you got?
Shit. I only had one written down for best costume, and that was Amazing Spider-Man. So, do I want to jump in or do I want to pick the best villain? Oh shit! I've used my best villain choice as well. Oh no! Yeah, I'm gonna go best villain.
Shit. I've got one that's I've really, really got here that I'm praying you don't take. Right. Let me just brace myself. Go on.
Killmonger in Black Panther.
Fuck! Shit! Oh, bollocks. That's who I had. Oh, fuck's sake.
He was the fucking smoothest, the most badass. He in a way he was kind of right, which is always the best kind of villain, where you kind of go, oh shit, should I be rooting against him? And obviously he's got the bad parts of him that make him a villain, but he's got one of the like a we can heal you. It's like, no, throw me off the ship with my ancestors and all that. From the moment he's introduced and the twist of him being the kid at the beginning of the film, like, yeah, he's great. Like his design's great with all of the travel scar tattoos of all the people that he's killed. His entire look when you first see him with that lion mask on at the bank robbery. I love his gold. The only thing about the Black Panther movie I don't like is the CGI fight fest at the end. But I love his gold suit, and I would have 100% preferred it is if they found a way to somehow, I don't know how they would do. I'm not a film writer. That's why they get paid the good money. Well, they should do. But that fight on the waterfall is one of the best fights. And the reason I didn't pick it up on it is because I wanted to save for best villain if he wasn't picked. But if they had found a way to end the film on the waterfall again, but with like the suits kind of disappearing like they do at the end, that would have been perfect. But I love that fight when he kicks him off the waterfall, when he takes over. He's charismatic. He can a bit when you get Andy Serkis's Ulysses Claw and he just fucking shoots him, just plain Stone Cold kills him. And yeah, there's nothing that I can say about his performance as Killmonger that has not been said before. But he is one of the top tier to the point where he's that good that everybody was like, "We're in multiverse now. Let's find a way to bring him back and have him be Black Panther," even though it would make absolutely no sense at all. Like everybody was like, "There's only one person that can replace Chadwick Boseman, and that's Killmonger," and there's a reason for that. He's such a good character, and it's a shame he was only in one film. But I'm also glad he's technically in two films, but it's a shame he was only really prevalent in one film because he is one of the better. He's probably second favorite to Thanos.
All right,
because I
small
don't
prick.
because I don't because I don't like Loki that much, but yeah.
That's rough. That's rough and shit. I think he was my number one villain, actually, I had down. But yeah, everything you said there, there's not much I
my
can add
number
to it.
my number one actually was this, but my number two was Vulture, but we'd already picked Homecoming. So
I have Vulture on my list as well.
when you said Black Panther for opening, I nearly shit myself. But then you said Wakanda Forever, I was like, yeah.
Oh, this is devastating. But yeah, he was incredible. Michael B. Jordan, just in general, I love. I think he's like coolness personified, and I think there's a reason that when he shows up in Wakanda Forever in Shuri's, I don't know what they're actually called, like vision thing
Spiritual
when
journey.
she's that whatever. Yeah, sure.
When she transcends.
Yeah, that one. Like, there's a reason people were so happy that he made the cameo there.
Yeah.
He is incredible, and he is one of the best MCU villains. It is a shame because they've had an issue in many films. That's one of the biggest criticisms they've had about poor villains. So having him be such an effective one and just getting rid of him immediately does feel a bit of a waste. And he also had that really cool line, was it when he beats him on the waterfall and he says, "Is this your king?" It became like a meme for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm so fucking jealous. You got that, bollocks.
I also like that when he's fighting. What is it? Is it? I can't remember what when he's wearing the suit, but he basically is wearing Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z's outfit. It looks exactly the same, and I'm like, yeah, Vegeta's the best character. You're the best villain. Let's fucking go. But I also like that moment in Black Panther 2 when you go around the corner. We've kind of been so used to like, oh, CGI, using dead people with CGI to bring them back into a movie or old footage somehow repurposed. That was 100% expecting Chadwick Boseman because they said they were going to pay homage. And I thought, are they going to do something? And then when it turned out to be him and he's the one that guides her through, like, what a way to fucking turn it on its head, still being respectable to a passed away actor and bringing back one of the best characters without ruining what came before. Fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think it was a smart thing to do because it was a way of bringing him back, but it was also great storytelling.
Yeah.
Like having him be the one that she needed to like see, and because of the like aggression she had and the violent tendencies, like I think that was such a well done move. I didn't think it'd be Chadwick. I think that would have been my worst fear, but I thought we'd just see Angela Bassett's character come back. So saving him for that was really well done. I'm so jealous you got that pick. Fuck. Right, well, villain. Everyone I had written down's gone, so I've got to quickly rethink this off the top of my head.
I was about to say who I was going to pick, but then realised I've not picked my third choice. So, that film not come up yet, so I'm going to keep it away from you.
I'm gonna go with
MODOK.
Absolutely fucking not. Scarlet Witch in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because I think in terms of intimidating character, she's one of the scariest motherfuckers in the MCU. Like the film itself, I think wasn't quite what many of us were expecting. It was a little disappointing in some areas, but I think her as the villain was fantastic. Like that scene when they're in the tunnel running and she just like comes through. It's like it's like she's Michael Myers, like chasing them down. It's so good. Like and when she just single-handedly takes on the Illuminati, and people were fuming at how dirty they did some of those characters, but it made her look incredible.
Yeah.
And so I have to give it to her. She's always been one of the like most powerful MCU characters, and obviously in comics as well with like the House of M. So seeing it go fully unleashed in that movie was really good. And I don't know if there are plans to bring her back, and if there are, they aren't public at the moment. But I do hope we see Wanda again, because she, on her day, she is one of the most, like, even in Endgame when she tells Thanos she took everything from me, and he says I don't even know who you are, like, and she's like taking him on, like, she's so fucking good. I love Wanda. I liked her as a villain. I prefer her as a hero, but I really liked her as a villain. So
The
if
only
I'm
thing
not getting,
The only thing
well,
I don't like about her in Multiverse, it just feels like they built her up and built her up and built her up. And then she just kind of feels like a completely, like, she is fucking cool in Multiverse of Madness. Like that bit where she comes out of the fucking mirror is fantastic. There we go. We said fantastic again. Sorry, Grace didn't get a thesaurus. But
well, how many times
like,
you said phenomenal? I haven't kept track.
can we get a tally on the when you do
We
the
might
edit?
have to
Get a
start
little
doing it.
tally. But yeah, in Multiverse of Madness, she is great, and like I like the more she goes into the dark hole, her fingers are all fucking burnt off and stuff. And yeah, when she's fighting obviously not a lot of people liked the Illuminati and how they were handled, but I absolutely loved it. Just fuck them up, man.
Even like Professor X just fucking
Yeah,
destroyed him. Like,
I did wish we get more of that, like in the mind battle, like some
yeah.
kind of Inception style stuff. But I do like it.
And that scene when she first shows up at the temple and she just takes on all those different, like, what are they
Yeah,
called?
Doctor Strangers.
Sure, yeah, yeah. When
It's
she
it's
takes on the
insane.
strangers, the
The Strangers.
wizards. I don't know what I can't remember what they're called. When she takes all them on and she starts whooping everyone's ass, like it's one of the most powerful villains we've seen. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had to get her in there.
If I hadn't have gone, like, obviously, I couldn't have Vulture because we'd already done Homecoming. And I'd already done Guardians 3, so I would have gone High Evolutionary. But if I hadn't have gone Black Panther, I would have actually done Iron Man 2 and done Hammer, Justin Hammer, just for that little dance he does when he comes on stage. But I'm surprised he didn't go Mysterio. I love Mysterio. Like
I
that
do
film's
like
great, but
Mysterio.
Mysterio is great, isn't
Do
it?
like Mysterio. I think it was weird that they framed it as he was a good guy at first, because anyone who knows Spider-Man
Yeah,
knows
you
he's a
can't.
villain. Apart
Yeah,
from Eleanor, who was sat watching it with me and audibly
great.
gasped. But yeah, I
His
do like
name's
Mysterio.
Mysterio. Of
But
course, he's a villain.
yeah, but I did go with Sky Witch for this reason alone, because now we've got to the last category, which is costume, and I'm
And it's
going
you.
Spider-Man in Far From Home because I can't think of any other
I
that
get you.
stands out right now.
The Night Monkey costume. I get you.
Yeah. No, just Spider-Man's outfits in general. I think he's got one of the best comic book like superhero looks in history. Like it's such an iconic look. No matter how many different versions we see of it, like the Tobey Maguire one or the Andrew Garfield or this one, like the different ways it's incorporated, I think they're all very effective, and it's almost impossible for it to look bad in my eyes. And I really like the MCU's version of the Spider-Man outfit. If I could have
You
gone
see,
anything, I would have gone the Iron Spider, but that wasn't on the board because we've used all those films. So yeah, I'm playing
it's
it safe.
it's in Far From Home. It is in the Iron Spider is in Far From Home. It's at the
Is
beginning.
it?
Yeah, when he goes to Aunt May's, he does the check and he does like the thumbs up. He's in the Iron Spider costume, isn't
Oh, I can't even remember. Sound
he? Yeah.
makes it even better then.
Though it
Um,
does, to be fair, the black and red costume is my favorite MCU Spider-Man costume, not including Andrew Garfield's, obviously.
Also, if we're going best costume, I don't know if that just means hero or not, but Mysterio's outfit is fucking cool.
It is
So
cool. It
I'm
is
taking
cool.
that as well. There's two for the price of one.
Who would have guessed Far From Home would have made it in?
Yeah. Probably the same people that guessed fucking Iron Man 3 would squeeze in somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I was going to pick Far From Home, you absolute bastard.
That's karma.
And we
It's
done
hard after that.
Guardians 3 is that's my favorite look for the Guardians when they've all got the matching costumes. Fuck. Shit. I actually don't know. I actually don't know what I can end on. I don't like the Iron Man 2 costume. It's shit. Oh man. Oh no, I do know what I'm gonna go with. And it's gonna end. I feel like it's gonna end on not a big note, but I love the first Ant-Man costume. That the first Ant-Man film and the Ant-Man costume is phenomenal.
The first Ant-Man film in general was actually really good, I
I
think. I
love
think it's quite
I
underrated.
love the first Ant-Man movie. It's definitely up there highly as one of the highly ranked Marvel movies for me. And I would have loved to see what Edgar Wright did with it. But the first
Mm.
Ant-Man costume's got that kind of what all earlier Marvel costumes had before. They just realised they can go, it's here. It's got that like practicality, that functionality to it. Like there's wires going down the arms up to the buttons, and the buttons are just fucking clicky buttons. And the helmet's got that like doesn't just appear; it folds out and folds over and locks in and flips in and stuff. And I really, really love that outfit. And it kind of I'm not going to try and do like a Mysterio, but the yellow jacket costume's pretty cool too. It's kind of a variation on the red one, but yeah, it's just got that like I don't know, it's that old jumpsuit type. I don't really know how to describe that old jumpsuit type like practicality, functionality, and looks like a real costume that would be made by a scientist to turn small, which is like a very fucking unbelievable sentence because nobody's ever going to do that. But it genuinely looks like it's something that could be made rather than like that's the one thing I don't like about the more recent Marvel movies is that in Quantumania he literally like taps his chest, and if you slow it down, I've seen scenes of it slowing down, and it literally just kind of like fades in. There's no effect. There's no kind of whereas he's got to like put it on and it just looks really cool. I don't really know how to describe it. Plus, I love the first Ant-Man movie. Paul Rudd is an absolute treasure and is one of the best gifts to the MCU. And when you watch Ninja Turtles, his character is the best in that as well. There's nothing wrong with Paul Rudd and him in that costume.
Yeah, I think it's quite good. And like you said, I think that is a big issue with the new ones where everyone just seems to have these nanotech costumes that appear out of nowhere. No one has to put them on anymore. Like that's part of the charm. Even
Yeah,
like Spider-Man now doesn't have put his own costume on. It just appears like
he will do now. He's made his own. He's got his little. So
yeah, I'm hoping
I'm glad we've gone back to that
yeah.
old school style costume. But yeah, I think we need more of that practicality in costume because part of it as well is how many of those costumes are actually worn on set now.
Yeah.
Probably not a lot. Probably just some blue dots and ping pong balls.
That's the issue with most movies these days, way too reliant on that CGI shit. I always prefer practical stuff. It always works better for me. Even if it doesn't look as good in certain aspects, knowing it's practical and they've had to go through with like making that sort of thing by hand and then finding different ways to shoot it, I always appreciate it more.
Yeah, and it's just silly things like I love the gold and blue and red Love and Thunder costume that Thor wears, and I love the Jane Foster Thor costume as well. But they CGI'd the helmets on. Like, just put a helmet on.
Yeah, it
Make a
doesn't make
helmet.
sense.
Like they've made helmets before. Just put a helmet, and it just ruins the whole thing for me. Which is why I wouldn't put it on the thing. The one that I really want to do, other than Andrew Garfield, is Thor's outfit in Infinity War. That is
Yeah.
the sexiest when he enters in that new outfit. The black metal chainmail down his arm. That is the sexiest. I think I might be in love with Chris Hemsworth, but it's the sexiest a man has ever looked in my eyes.
Yeah, his costume in that was so good. There was quite a few I was like wanting to go with. I really wanted the Iron Man one for
I
best costume because I love that one. I think that's my favorite version of the Iron Man outfit. So I wanted that. I could have taken any of the Avengers, like Captain America in the first Avenger when it's the olden suit. I think it's incredible. Captain
yeah.
America in Winter Soldier with a new suit, incredible again. Give me any Captain America suit.
The
Like
selfie.
even
Civil
Black
War.
Panther. I think the first Black Panther, that Black Panther suit would have been
Civil
a really
War.
good
Yeah.
one as well.
Do you know who's got the best out? Like their best outfit was in Civil War. Hawkeye.
Well, are you sure it's not his fucking Ronin look with shitty little mohawk thing he's got going down?
That genuinely tempted me to get a mohawk, but even I'm not that bad. Do you know what? I think before Endgame, I didn't really used to shave the sides down as much, and after Endgame, I did.
You're just taking inspo from Jeremy Renner.
I love him.
Well,
He's a
there we
real life
go.
superhero. So at the end of it, out of
Yeah,
10
let's do a quick
categories,
recap. You go through, name the categories and what movies you've got, and then do mine.
so the best main character was right off the bat Hawkeye in Age of Ultron, and
Fucking
then
all-time blunder.
and then Captain America in the Winter Soldier. The best fist bump moment was Mjolnir in Endgame, and
For me,
then
yeah.
yeah, and then for me, Andrew Garfield appearing in No Way Home. The best ending for me was Iron Man 1 with Iron Man, and then for you, obviously, Infinity War, which, I mean, good choice, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Best fight, Civil War at the end for you with Cap versus Iron Man versus Bucky, which I think we can both agree it's fucking phenomenal. Add that one to the tally. And then I went a bit out of the box with the opening fight of Guardians of the Galaxy set to Mr. Blue Sky.
Can I just say real quick? I think if we do this tally with phenomenal, when we get a number at the end, I think that's how many paid days off I should get at work.
You got to work days to get days off. I think if we did that, you'd never work again.
Yeah, true. That's how I'd like it.
I fucked you over with best sequel on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because what a fucking play. And then, to be fair, you got Ragnarok, which is good. Yeah. I completely forgot about Needle Drop, so you got Guardians 1. But I went Iron Man 3 with a Christmas tune. Opening, I went Homecoming with the camera footage, and you went Black Panther Wakanda Forever because you love a good cry, don't you? Always. You cried at Mamma Mia too when we watched that together.
Absolutely.
And I've never been more secondhand embarrassed in my life.
Hey, I've got no shame. I've cried at it every time I've watched it, and I'm not ashamed to admit I've watched Mamma Mia 2 probably in double figures.
Did you watch it? Did you read my letterbox review for Little Women?
I think, I did, yeah.
You
just said you cry at movies now.
Okay, I guess I just cry at movies now.
Join the club. I cry at everything. That, by the way, a great film. We spoke about that last week, and you went and watched it, and it is a great film, isn't it?
Still got to watch Lady Bird yet, but we're getting through. Loved it. Really did. Origin, you went Cap 1 for the World War II story, really good, and I went cheeky with Avengers Assemble in the UK. Best villain, I managed to get the best one by getting Killmonger from Black Panther, and you had to scrape the bottom of the barrel for Scarlet Witch in Multiverse of Madness. And then I think we ended on a low note with, well, you managed to get Spider-Man in Far From Home. There's the Iron Spider
iterations.
There's the Iron Spider. There's the blue and red one. There's Night Monkey, and then there's the black and red one.
So and then there's Mysterio.
And Mysterio, yeah. So you managed to get a fair few good ones in there. And I went Ant-Man for his practicality, and Paul Rudd in the costume. What more can you love?
I'm not sure which category is more one-sided. You getting Killmonger and me getting Scarlet Witch, or me getting Hooked on a Feeling and you getting a Christmas song from Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
There's some one-sided ones there, but at least it was on opposite sides. But that was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I'm not sure how we'll figure out who wins. Maybe I'll put a poll on the Instagram stories or something like that, and then we can just ask everyone that we know, like that listens at work. We should put like a sheet on.
Who wins? Cal or the guy that pays you?
Fine, Cal, the guy you like, or Nathan,
or Nathan.
Yeah, like we should do that. Figure out, and we'll get the results for next week. Well, that was fun. I will look forward to doing something like that again. Obviously, we can't do the same level because, like I said, there's not many franchises or anything, unless we do like just a genre like action movies or horror. But I don't think there's going to be many other franchises or even like a certain director's work with 20 films to pick from. So
we'll figure it out. We still need to figure out a way to do some Star Wars yet, so that could be fun.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a Star Wars one just to shut you up, really.
Never. I will never.
I can't wait till we do it, and I immediately pick Rise of Skywalker number 1.
To be fair, yeah.
Or Attack of the Clones.
I did have another idea, but we'll talk about that off camera.
Cool. Right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. As always, you can find me on Twitter at, or should I call it X now? What's the deal with that? Is it called X, or is that just a new logo? I don't understand.
I think it's called X. Mine's changed the name from Twitter to X as well as the logo, but other people I know hasn't. So
I'm calling it Twitter till it's officially changed then, because X sounds like some weird kinky dating site. So
call it Twitter X, and it sounds like a 2000s CITV cartoon.
Yeah. So we're going to stick with Twitter for now because fuck X. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Callum Altimus, which is ALTIMAS, and on Letterboxd at Caltimus. And where can we find you, Mr. Hannah?
At Nay_214 on Twitter and at Nay214 on Letterboxd.
Wonderful. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well at the CineMatch Podcast. And if you're listening to it on one of those platforms, you can find us on YouTube in the reverse at the CineMatch Podcast, where you get to look at two very, very handsome faces for over an hour. So what more could you ask for? But thanks for listening, guys, and we'll be back with you next week. Back on the original format, I believe. What is that, sorry?
Usual scheduling.
Yeah, we'll reveal later on in the week what the two movies will be, as we haven't actually decided ourselves yet.
Nope.
Unbelievable organisation, but we'll let you guys know. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon. Peace out.
See you later.